Welcome to the Think for Yourself Clubhouse. I am Bill Martin, and my co-host is Aggie Martin. We had hoped that Dennis Reinhardt would be here today, but he's not able to. We hope to see Dennis later on. Our guest today is Jamie Nash, who is the superintendent of Buckeye Hills Career Center. We're going to talk today about career technical education. I had written on my notes vocational education, but I find out the correct term now is career technical education, or for short, CTE. With 32 years of experience, Jamie Nash has held various educational roles, including CTE instructor, administrator, and director. Since 2018, he has served as the superintendent of the award-winning Buckeye Hills Career Center, overseeing operations and collaborating with schools in Gallia, Jackson, and Vinton counties. Buckeye Hills Career Center serves over 600 high school students and 300 adults, with several satellite programs reaching an additional 2,600 students. Mr. Nash's collaborative leadership emphasizes fairness and consistency. He proudly implemented the Drug-Free Clubs of America's STAND or STAND program, with 85% of the students enrolling, and achieved a 90.4 post-program placement rate and a 95.2% graduation rate for the 2024-2025 school year. His vision continues to drive Buckeye Hills Career Center toward becoming a leading career center in the state. I might comment that I took my usual visual tour of the facility on Monday. I take photographs and a little bit of video, which you'll be seeing later on, and I was surprised, to say the least. This is a very impressive place. Jamie, what is Buckeye Hills Career Center?
So Buckeye Hills Career Center is the name of the school at the main campus. We're technically called the Gallia Jackson Vinton Joint Vocational School District. We were chartered 50 years ago. We are celebrating our 50th year anniversary this year. So Buckeye Hills is our main campus. That's the name of our school. We serve, throughout our charter, we serve Gallia, Jackson, and Vinton counties on the high school side of the house. And then we have an adult side that serves the same three counties, plus we pick up surrounding counties. And believe it or not, we serve a few counties in West Virginia as well.
I see.
So it's a pretty big operation, both on the high school side and on the adult side.
Now, is Buckeye Hills a public school? Is it supported by taxpayer funding?
Yeah.
I believe that it's a joint vocational district.
Yeah, it's a joint vocational school district. We're a public school. So when you really think about it, we think about all the public schools in Gallia County, all the public schools in Jackson County, and then the one public school in Vinton County. We are their career center. So that's where all the kids go in high school that want to go on and get career technical education training at a higher level, if that makes sense.
Okay, so we can think of, for example, Jackson County has 3 school districts,
Yep.
and your organization encompasses not only Jackson County, but also Gallia and Vinton, so you're one great big school district.
One big school district, one big region. So what happened was, back 50 years ago, they were called joint vocational school districts. Now they're called career tech planning districts. We're the lead of the career tech planning district, and our partner schools are members. So each one of those schools in those 3 counties are members of our career tech planning district. So we are one partnership for career technical education.
So when you say main campus, are there other campuses, or are you talking about the school?
So we're talking about the schools.
Members.
So we have a main campus there on 351 Buckeye Hills Road that you visited.
Yes.
Down in Rio Grande. So that's the main campus. We have 7 buildings there, and then we have programming at all
Get
of our.
this, viewers, 7 buildings at this main campus.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And we just built 3 of those are new.
And you go down there, they're building another one.
And we're building another one. So we have career tech programs also at our homeschool partners. So like Jackson City Schools, we have programming in middle grade and in high school both. A lot of people don't realize that, and that's something we're very proud of. So every one of our school districts that are part of our career tech planning district membership, we have career tech programs that start in the earliest 7th grade and they go all the way through grades 12. And then at the main campus, we also have an extension for post-secondary. So we're also a post-secondary institution on top of a secondary institution.
So you've got your own independent operation on the main campus, plus you've got partnerships
Yes.
with all these high schools
With all these high
throughout the
schools.
3 counties.
Yep, and middle schools. And
Middle schools.
And right now in Ohio serves about 1 out of 5 kids in career tech. Something that we're really proud of with our partners is right now we're serving 8 out of 10 kids in career tech from 7th grade through 12th grade. So we are leading the state in the number of kids served in career technical education. So it's something we're very proud of, and we do that as a partnership. That's not a Buckeye Hills thing. That is a partnership of the career tech planning districts and all of our local school partners. So the superintendents, the building principals, the counselors, the EMIS coordinators, all those folks are all part of our career tech planning district. So we're one big family within the region.
Okay, I don't have it down here, but your funding, do you have a real property tax portion of
Yeah.
that real property tax?
So the way it works, and why we're so concerned about the property tax revamp right now, first of all, I will say this, and I've been saying it for the last 10 to 15 years, public education in Ohio has been under attack for a long time. And it's been a big concern of mine, and now we're seeing it firsthand. We've been seeing it firsthand.
When you pound on the table, go right into the mic.
Yeah, I can do that. So I mean, I've been lobbying against that. I've been working with my homeschool partners. I'm more concerned about them than I am myself, and the reason I say that is our career center. We have what's called an 85% state share index. So 85% of our funding comes from state subsidy at the state, and then 15% of our funding comes from our local tax base. So
Okay.
we're on what's called the 2 mil floor. And the way legislation is written right now, we can't go below the 2 mil floor, if that makes sense. But my homeschool partners, a lot of their state share indexes are around 50-55%. The rest of it's local taxes. So when you see these local taxes basically get revamped, they're going to really take a pretty hard hit.
Yeah, viewers, we had Phil Howard on Jackson City School District in another interview, and you can review that if you wish. He goes through some of these issues as
Yeah.
well.
So that's how we're funded, though. So we do, like, again, we're an 85-15 split. And then, of course, we chase grants like crazy at our career.
We're going to talk about some of those
So,
grants
yeah.
later on.
And
So-
Tiffany Ridgway, too, our county auditor, did an interview with you, and she got very detailed about the real estate tax.
Yeah, so we can refer viewers to Phil Howard for his point of view, and also Auditor Tiffany Ridgway.
And Bill, I do want to say this. I think, and this is important for the public to hear this. We all feel like we're taxed to death, and we all agree that we need relief. However, you can't have a knee-jerk reaction to that relief. What people have to understand is if you do away with all property tax, then who's going to pay for the services for public education? Who's going to provide all the services for EMS, fire, police departments? I don't think people realize the services that come with property tax.
Yeah, and I think Mr. Howard, if he were here, would point out that the General Assembly for the past many years have continually constricted the amount of general fund subsidization they do of the public schools. Not just Jackson, but other
absolutely.
schools. And particularly those schools in the rural area who don't have tuition-based education, who don't have private schools, parochial schools that are now getting state subsidies. Well, let's move on a little bit. Does Buckeye Hills Career Center have a mission statement?
Yeah, our mission statements, we're creating successful lives.
There you go.
That's what we do, and we do it every day. Our staff does a wonderful job. I had the opportunity just not to work at Buckeye Hills. I've worked at other schools. I've worked in other agencies. And I can honestly say this with a lot of pride and say this that with a lot of honor, that it's a blessing to work there, the best place I've ever worked, and the staff there are just amazing.
Okay.
How big is your teaching staff?
We usually run anywhere from about 100 to 120 full-time staff, and then usually about 60 part-time staff. So you think about our adult ed system, we have a lot of part-time instructors, a lot of part-time staff there. So it can fluctuate, though, based off of need.
So among other things, you're running a small business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as a superintendent, that's what you are running. You're running a business, but at the same time, something that I've always taken a lot of just my mindset is put kids first. And I'm from Appalachia, so I was that kid back in the old days when they called it vocational education. I went to the vocational school and took an engineering program, and it made sense for me for the first time. And so my goal is to give every kid from Appalachia access. and an opportunity to get a good trade, good training that lines to an in-demand job.
Okay.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Pickaway Ross, and I went to Paint Valley
Okay.
up in Bainbridge, Ohio.
So you qualify as a Southern Ohio boy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, born and raised in Bainbridge, Ohio, and
Yeah.
my kids are actually fourth generation graduates of Paint Valley.
Now, in
So-
a general sense, what courses are available at the Buckeye Hills? Academic courses, and of course,
Yeah.
what I would call vocational courses.
Yeah,
career
so
tech courses.
we have all academic courses there. So kids traditionally come there in the 11th and 12th grade, and so they're going to take their academics there, and then they're also going to take their career tech programming there. And I gave you guys a list of all of our high school programs that we have. It's going to be the one that's green here. So right now we have 13 courses at our main campus. So kids in the 11th and 12th grade can take these courses, and there's a ton of them. I don't want to go through them all, but we have a lot of program pathways. All of our pathways align to in-demand jobs. You'll also see on each one of these flyers, this is about the program, they all have industry credentials attached to them. Those industry credentials are super important because those industry credentials align to the in-demand jobs. That's what gets the kid in the door. And then you can also see potential placement and income. And then the other thing that's kind of cool about career tech, a lot of people don't realize this, is a lot of our career tech programs have college credit attached to it. They're called C-tags. So if you look at this Ag Diesel Equipment Technicians program, not all of them, but a lot of them, you'll see that when they take this particular course their junior year, they get 2 college credits to any state college in Ohio. And then a lot of our other courses have what's called bilateral agreements. And we'll do bilateral agreements with Rio Grande, Shawnee State, Hocking, and OU in most cases.
Now, this accreditation you're talking about, this would be a certificate that a high school kid gets upon graduation, which he can show an industrial plant and say, I'm skilled in this area?
Absolutely. Yeah, they got what's called a passport, and the passport explains to them exactly what they've been taught, what courses they've taught. Any of their industry credentials they've obtained, they'll have copies of all those.
So in a sense, it's a communication between the student and the potential employer.
The employer, absolutely.
These are what my skills are. And then you try to arrange these certificates so that it matches what the jobs are available out
100%. Yeah,
of the real world.
Absolutely. So we're required by law to have what's called advisory committees. So each one of my programs that you see here, like the first one is an Ag Heavy Equipment Technician, he has to have an advisory committee that's made up of local employers from that pathway. And they have to have a minimum of 5 to 6 people on that committee. So we make sure that our curriculum's aligned. We make sure that our industry credentials are aligned. We make sure that we have the right equipment that they're being trained on. Super important.
We're going to talk about some of that
Yeah.
equipment later on. I've got pictures of that
so-
stuff.
So all that's important for them to be trained on what I call, what we try to do is we try to model what they're going to see in real life. Does that
Sure.
make sense?
Absolutely.
And then we also too, sometimes we get in front of business and industry because we're very innovative. So we're also making sure they're getting trained on innovation that may not be out there yet, but is coming. It's on its way. Does that make sense?
Sure. For example, these folks have telephone poles indoors. Now, you know how tall a telephone pole is, and they can do all-weather training on those telephone poles. They can learn how to do that stuff above. They're skilled work.
Yeah, that's our electrical, broadband, telecommunications, and power line program, and we have an indoor training facility that's brand new, and then we have an outside training facility. So believe it or not, today's pretty cold. Right before I left, I have 40 kids outside working, just like they're going to be working in real life, from the power line industry.
It looks like a forest of telephone poles
Yes,
outside, and then
absolutely.
you've got 4 or 5 lined up inside
Inside
indoors.
too, and that's more for a controlled environment when you're first teaching them. Yeah,
Sure,
absolutely.
sure. Well, that's all very impressive, as we'll see as we go along. How many students attend Buckeye Hills? I think we probably would say at the main campus, and then in your schools. I think
Yeah.
you indicated before.
So right now our main campus we're above 600. So that's how many high school kids are there, and then we have about 2,600 kids that we serve from 7th grade through 12th grade at our what we call satellite programs, and that's back at our homeschool partners.
That would be with your partners
that's
in
with
the
our
high
partner
schools and middle schools.
Yeah. So if you look at, there's a packet here that I got for you guys, and this one is blue, and it'll say Gallia Academy High School on the top. So we have 17 satellite programs currently right now at our 6 districts, 7 high schools. That's a lot of programming, and that's from 7th grade through 12th grade. And then this is another cool component of it. So something we do a little bit different is I also have school districts that have their own programming that they own, but we still work with them on. And there's another 16 of those programs across our 3 counties. So when you really look at those numbers, that's a ton of training that's going on back at our home schools, starting as early as the 7th grade, continuing all the way through 12th grade. And then we have about 600 kids, 600 plus kids that come to our main campus every year that are juniors and seniors.
And what are the subject areas that
So-
7th through 12th grade at your member?
So when you look at these handouts, you'll see some of them. The big ones, if a lot of people don't realize this, but a lot of your ag programs, where your FFA kids are at, those are programs that are owned by Buckeye Hills in most cases. Not all cases, but in a lot of cases. Vinton County, they own their own, and then also River Valley and South Guy own their own. However, we own the ag programs at Oak Hill. We own the ag program down in Gallipolis City and Jackson City. Wellston also has their own ag program. I'm the type of superintendent, when I came on board, I wanted to make sure that we shared ownership, because when you share ownership, you're sharing state subsidy dollars, which helps those school districts out as well. Also, IT is a big one. So if you're familiar with Jackson City has one of the maybe top in just not Ohio, but top in the nation, an interactive media program with Adam Rippeth. All your broadcasting that you see at the ball games, those are all Career Tech kids. That's a Buckeye Hills
really?
program. Yeah.
So when you go to the football game and you see
the kids
the
broadcasting the
video
games.
on the...
Yeah, that's a Career Tech program in partnership with Jackson City Schools. Me and Phil put that program together a few years ago, and that's the result of that partnership, that collaboration.
Well, I'm here to tell you, doing a podcast with camera and post-production and all that stuff takes some skill.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not good at it, but it takes skill.
And this younger generation, they thrive at technology and podcast and TikTok and YouTube, you name it, they're on it. And so when you see those kids, those are kids that are in the Career Technical Education program. And it's the same thing with our other schools. Our other schools have IT programs. Every one of our schools have IT programs. We have business programs. We have finance programs. So those are your kind of your base programs that are at your home schools.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's bring it down to a little bit of more concrete level. How do your kids who go to school at the main campus, how do they get there? What's the transportation?
So since we're a public school and our high schools are our partners, the way the state funding works in Ohio is a little different, because you used to have the old state funding model, and now you have this new state funding formula model. The way it works is when a kid comes to Buckeye Hills, that kid used to only generate 1 FTE at 100%. So the funding followed the kid. Well, and then the homeschool would keep 20% of that funding back in the old days. The new funding model is the kid now generates 120%. So 100% comes to Buckeye Hills and 20% stays back with the homeschool. And that 20% is for them to provide services to that kid. And part of that is transportation. So all of my homeschools are required to provide transportation from their school to Buckeye Hills, and then pick the kids up in the evening and bring them
So
back.
that's why I saw the school bus when I was out
That's why
there.
you were
So
seeing,
Jackson City School
you saw
Bus.
all the school buses lining up to pick up the kids.
Yeah.
So that's the way it works now. And then also we have a lot of kids who drive, and then we also have a lot of parents who drop off and pick up. I will tell you this, and we're going to talk about this, I know, here in a minute, but we're a very aggressive career tech planning district, career center. We do a lot of job placement, and our goal is our entire senior class, when they complete their first semester, like right now they're getting ready to complete and go into Christmas break, our goal is to get those kids job placed right after the semester break. We've actually already started job placing kids. We've probably got 40, 50 kids job placed already before the semester break. Our goal is to get every one of our high school kids who are eligible to be job placed in their pathway.
Would it be mostly local jobs?
Believe it or not, you'll be surprised. A lot of local jobs, a lot of kids travel. And what you're going to, and we all know this from being from Appalachia, and a lot of people may not be aware of this too that's listening to this podcast. Franklin County, Columbus, Ohio, 25% of the job force comes out of Appalachia. 25%.
Doesn't surprise me.
So
because I've seen the traffic
they're
going up
commuters.
there.
And by the way, I was that commuter for 10, 15 years. So I lived in Appalachia and commuted to Franklin County for 10, 15 years. So a lot of our kids are going to go where the jobs are at. They're going to go where the money's at. So we have kids that commute. We also have kids that stay local. So we have both. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And you're going to find out.
So you're saying a big job market is Columbus?
Big job markets are going to be closer to bigger cities.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line. And you think about, especially when you look at cities that are getting bigger. Now, I will tell you something I'm very excited about is 30 minutes just south of our school is a little place called Newcourt that's being built, one of the biggest steel plants in American history in Apple Grove, West Virginia. It's 30 minutes from our school. We have kids placed there right now because they're doing the construction phases, but they're going to be hiring a lot of people as well. So we're excited about that. That gives our kids from Appalachia an opportunity to stay in Appalachia and make good money. And then we also have good employers here too. I want to make sure everybody understands that too. We have good local employers here as well that pay good money too, and kids can stay here as well.
Okay. Let's switch over to adult education. I don't know if there's a buzz phrase for adult career tech planning, but talking about adult education.
I still call it adult education. The term out there now is called Ohio Technical Centers. It's adult education for me. I've been around for 32 years. I still call it vocational education too. So, but adult education, I gave you guys a nice little packet on our adult ed system. So right now at our main campus, we have 8 programs at our adult ed system. We are a post-secondary institution. We do have an accrediting body, so we're required to go through accreditation. We do have some also what I call short-term programming that we have. We're in our accreditation cycle right now, so we can't advertise for that until after the accreditation cycle completes. But we have heavy equipment operators programs. We have firefighting. We have a CDL program. We have STNA, phlebotomy, EKG. We have cosmetology. We have practical nursing. We have a LPN to RN diploma program. We have welding. We have HVAC with plumbing and electrical. So when you think about it from an adult ed perspective and the way it works, and the folks that created the joint vocational school districts were geniuses. Vern Rife and company, Shoemaker, they were brilliant people. I'm going to tell you why. They created 49 joint vocational school districts and strategically placed them across Ohio. Then those joint vocational school districts were there to provide training in the trade industry, blue-collar jobs, to create training for the community, and then feed the employers. And at nighttime, instead of the light switch being turned off at 3 o'clock when school's over, the light switch doesn't get turned off. We use those same spaces to train adults. So you're training high school kids during the day and adults in the evening time. Now, fast forward 50 years later, now we do training during the day for both. And we also do training in the evening for both. So kids have some flexibility too.
Yeah, I noticed when I did my tour, there was a look for all the world like a hospital Bay Area with 6, 7, 10 beds with mannequins that you practice nursing on. They had one of those for adults, and then they had another one for the high school level.
Yeah, because they're going on at the same time.
Going on at the same time.
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
And I'll tell you, a really neat program we have is I still call it Surgical Tech Program. We just changed the name around that due to accreditation. But our Surgical Tech Program, it's basically when you go in and have surgery, the people that are supporting the surgeons, that program, to me, I love that program. It's very intriguing, but it looks like an ER room. So one of our goals is every program that we have, we model what the industry standard is. So that's why you're seeing the upgrades of labs, you're seeing the upgrades of equipment, because you got the evolution of business and industry so fast nowadays, and you got to keep up with that.
But one thing, what I almost think of as a simple thing is the cosmetology. Somebody that can become a beautician, good trade, makes decent money. You have rows and rows of salon chairs.
Absolutely.
So you train a bunch of
very, very, very popular program, both on the high school and the adult side. I was telling you guys earlier before we turned on the podcast that you were asking about non-traditional students. We have both non-traditional students that are female, that are in predominantly male program and pathways, and then vice versa. We have male students that are in predominant pathways that were one time considered female pathways or occupations.
Boys in cosmetology, girls in welding.
And from my perspective, in my generation and the current generations, we don't even see that anymore. We got female welders and male welders. We got female and male nurses. We have female and male cosmetologists. It's not like it used to be 50 years ago. So you see a lot of non-trad in a lot of different programs nowadays.
Now, we hear a lot from plant managers saying that they need workers, but they can't find or they can't keep good help. some of the plant managers I've talked to talk about such things as there's a lack of childcare, there's a lack of transportation, there's a lack of just the sense that you come to work on time and you stay for 8 hours and you do your work and then you go home. But you do that every day.
In the introduction, you mentioned the program about drugs too.
Yeah.
That's always brought up.
So
often.
I talk to employers every day. I've been talking to employers for the last 32 years, and their expectations really haven't changed a lot. And I'm gonna explain to what I'm getting ready to say. The number one thing they'll ask you is attendance. They'll ask you, are they drug free? They'll ask you, what technical skill training do they have? What industry credential training do they have? They want to talk about employability skills. At our career center, we're mandated by law to teach employability skills, professional skills. We have to have it built into our curriculum. It has to be a percentage of our curriculum. 8 years ago, when I came to Buckeye Hills as the new superintendent, I had the opportunity to be the director at Pickaway Ross, and I was part of a team through Chambers and Rotary who really developed bringing in the Drug Free Clubs of America chapter called MADE to Ross County and Ross County schools. And it was an honor to be part of that. I was on that for 3 years. So I brought that same vision down to Buckeye Hills. So we implemented a Drug Free Clubs of America chapter. It's called STAND, Students Taking Action, Not Drugs. Right now, we fluctuate between 85 and 90% of our student body is committed to being drug free, which is pretty impressive. The other part is, a lot of people don't realize this too, on the career tech side, our kids have to be there. They have to be there to complete the program, and a lot of our programs are around industry standards and state certifications. You can't miss a lot of attendance. So you have to be there at least 90% of the time to be able to even complete the program.
And I noticed when I was there was a sign, one of the teachers had done on the board, this is what we expect of you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of those items was, put the cell phones away.
Yep.
No cell phones during the class time.
Yeah, we actually banned cell phones this year. So our kids aren't allowed to have cell phones out. We start school at 8 o'clock. Kids start processing in because we got 3 counties busing kids in. They all don't get there at the same time, so it's a staggered time. So between 8 and 8:20, we have a staggered time. Kids go to their last period of class to turn their cell phone in because that's where they're going to be at the end of the day. They have to turn them in. They get put in a lockbox. They don't get them at all, until the end of the day.
Another item on that list, as I remember, was be respectful to your co-students and to the teacher.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's
and
required.
I'll tell you, that's something that we take a lot of pride in. I want to make sure people understand this. In the career tech world, a lot of our teachers come from business and industry. All of our career tech staff do. So when you think about a career tech teacher, they're coming out of business and industry. They have a different mentality than a traditional academic teacher. What I love about our school is they both integrate very well together, and they work very close together. And they do a really good job in transforming kids from being a kid to being a young adult. And that's one of the things that we talk about a lot is we want to transform our kids to the workforce. We want to transform our kids to the military. We want to transform our kids to post-secondary education, or a combination of those things. And part of that is growing up. And we treat them like adults there. And I think when you treat the kid, when they come to a career center like an adult, you get a lot of respect in return.
And I think they appreciate your learning skills.
Yeah, you see a lot of
things
growth.
that you can actually do with your hands.
Plus, yeah. The other thing too, and we joke about this a little bit, just because of the way the flavor and the temperature of state politics are right now, about school choice and about community schools and private schools and parochial schools. Well, what I find interesting is we are the original OG of school choice. The career centers are public schools that are part of the community that the schools belong to, but we're still a school of choice. Kids aren't forced to be there. They choose to be there. And I think when a kid chooses to be there, the mindset's different, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think the career education, tech education, evolved out of the manpower program from the Johnson era?
So I've done a lot of history on this. I've done a lot of research on this. A lot of career centers really evolved. When you really think about it, it began to evolve after World War II, and then got a lot of win in the '60s. and it really took hold. Like Pike County Career Center is the first joint vocational school district in the state of Ohio. Who's from Pike County? Vern Wright.
I was
So
thinking-
that's where it first came out of, and I'll tell you what, I actually got a couple books I'll send to you guys that talk about the history of the Career Center and the career centers across Ohio as a whole, and it talks about how it evolved. One of the very first programs ever in career technical education, vocational education, was, believe it or not, was a cosmetology barbering program, and it was back in the 1800s. I mean,
Sure.
that's where.
Sure.
And you think about apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is another arm of career technical education too. That's something that we're getting really involved in right now. That's what I want to do before I retire. So when you think about Buckeye Hills, you think about the secondary side, which is high school, the post-secondary side, which is adult. I want to bring a third arm in and have an apprenticeship. So our goal, all those new buildings you're seeing, my goal is to have contractors have access to those to do their apprenticeship training at our facility.
I see.
And some of our, like our union contractors that are in the trade industry, they got to drive clear to Columbus or drive clear to Ashland, Kentucky. Our goal is to give them a place down in Southern Ohio, so people don't have to be behind the windshield time getting their apprenticeship. Because all apprenticeship is, it's usually a 4 to 5 year long process. My son just completed his apprenticeship in power line. He just became a journeyman lineman. 4-year apprenticeship is equivalent to a 4-year college degree. And a lot of apprenticeship programs are aligned to colleges as well. So a lot of people don't realize that. So when people come out of those apprenticeship programs, it's like they're coming out of a higher level of education, if that makes sense, with a lot of hands-on training.
I circle around a little bit to adult training. I noticed in my tour there was a sign for the Aspire program, ASPIRE.
Yep.
I believe that is such things as GED training.
The Aspire program was changed, just like everything else kind of evolved. It was changed. It used to be your old pre-GED, your ABLE program, and your GED program. It's just a different name now. Now, I will tell you this. This is what's interesting about the world. There's 1 million people in Ohio that don't have a high school diploma. Something that we take very serious. We want to get people that life happened to them, and we want to get them back on track. We want to get them to where they either get their GED or they get a high school diploma. There's a new program out there called Ohio. It's called Adult Diploma Program. It's called the ADP program. The Adult Diploma Program is my favorite, and I was at the State Department when it was launched, and I was part of the team who actually built it.
State Department of Education.
State Department of Education, yeah. So what I loved about it was, and I'll give you an example. You can come to our career center. So listen to me, folks, if you're out there. If you don't have a high school diploma, I want you to listen to me. You can come to our career center. You can take one of our programs. For instance, you can take a welding program. You'll be done in less than 1 year. If you get the proper work keys assessment score and complete the program and get your credential, you get a high school. You actually get an adult diploma issued by the State Department of Education. You actually get a high school diploma issued to you
For going through the
program. And then on the work key side, say you don't get the work key score that's required, which is a 12, then our Aspire program will help remediate you during that process to get that 12.
So remedial education is available?
Yeah, absolutely.
In your course.
And I love the adult diploma program because it does two things. Number one, it takes a person who dropped out of high school and allows them to get their high school diploma, number one. And number two, they get a credential that aligns to an in-demand job, and we're going to job place you. So you're doing two things at the same time, and at the end of it, you get a diploma, you get your welding certification, and you can get a job.
in 1 year.
In less than 1 year.
Well, from the perspective of adults out there who may be looking for a change in their lives, what are your plans for the future of adult education at Buckeye Hills? Can it be, for example, can it be expanded? What's your capacity?
We are expanding as we speak.
I could see that.
So that's what I'm all about. That's why the Board of Education hired me to come there 8 years ago, and we've been expanding this entire time. It's kind of neat because we started with expanding in the 7th and 8th grade, and our partner schools were awesome at making that happen and are part of the success of that. We expanded some of our satellite programs. So when you think about satellite, the programs that are located back at the high school in the 9th and 10th grade, some go on to the 11th and 12th, and then you have your high school programs at the main campus in 11th and 12th. On the adult side of the house, we've begun to expand programs and opportunities in that as well. Right now, we partner with a local company to do CDL training. We are in the process of going through the state of Ohio, the bureaucracy of the state of Ohio. We're going through the process now to become our own CDL academy.
And most people know that that's commercial driver's license.
So
right?
Buckeye Hills will be providing CDL training
This
soon.
might be a good time for the images that are going to be shown above us to show those two brand new Freightliner
Yeah, we have-
semi-tractors.
Yeah. Our kids are going to be in heaven when they go through our training program because they're going to be in brand new equipment. They probably won't see that out there in the real world yet, but not their first gig. Maybe when they get 10 years down the road, they may get a new semi. But yeah, we also got all brand new our heavy equipment program. So we partner with Local 18 out of Logan with that program. We usually do 4 to 5 cohorts a year. We blend that. We have high school kids in there with adult students both, so they're getting heavy equipment trained. We just spent almost $1 million on heavy equipment as well. I know when Bill was there, he was like, Jamie, tell me a little bit how can you afford all this equipment? and so let me tell the audience how this works. So something that myself and our treasurer, her name is Stephanie Reif. Stephanie Reif, in my opinion, is the best dang treasurer in the state of Ohio. Her and I made a deal 8 years ago that we were going to be very conservative on the way we managed and budgeted the Career Center. Something we're very proud of, and we take very, very serious. So some things happened to me. So after I was there, just got the Buckeye Hills, the biennium budget froze us completely for 2 years. So when it froze us up, that meant we had no growth power to expand. And the bottom line is, and if you know anything about business, and I know you guys understand it, you do have to spend money to make money. And so one of the things we decided to do was we were going to start chasing grants, and both state grants and federal grants. And I'll tell you, then everybody knows what happened. After my first year, COVID happened. COVID knocked the wheels off of everything. And during COVID, I met this young man. He was our county health director, Tyler Swikert. And when I met Tyler in person, he has what I call the it factor. And I came back to the office. It was just me and Stephanie there. It was during COVID. I said, hey, Stephanie, I just met Tyler Swikert. She goes, the health director guy? I said, yeah. She goes, what about him? I said, I'm hiring him. She goes, what do you mean you're hiring him? I'm like, I'm hiring him. I don't know what for yet, but I'm hiring him. Because he had it.
Yeah.
He had it. And so we hired him, and I made him my grants administrator, and in 24 months, he landed about $22 to $23 million in grants.
Wow.
And we just continually to ride him. Now, one thing about this business I understand is windows close and windows open, and grants are the same way. So when the government's what I call fat, it's opportunity time. So you got to take advantage of the opportunity time. The government's starting to get leaner. We're starting to feel the push. At least they're telling us they're getting leaner. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what they're telling us. But we are feeling that. We're seeing that too with our grants. So what we did was we basically we struck it while it was hot, and we landed a bunch of grants, and now we're starting to see it coming back down again. From my perspective, what we will do is, because it's part of my job and it's part of my team's job, is anytime that I can get access to that's all of our money, but anytime I can get access outside of our region and pull money in from the state or the feds, that's what we're going to do. So that's what we've done.
So how many people do you have in your administrative office then?
So my administrative office, just my district office, it's me and the treasurer. I have an executive AP. I have an EMIS coordinator who takes care of all of our high school finances on the system of, that's how money flows from the state to the schools. And then we have a couple people who work for the treasurer. And then I have a PR person that does all of our marketing. And then I have a director of compliance, and that's it.
The marketing would be mostly toward high school students?
We do both.
Okay.
And we market heavy. Yeah.
I'd like to come back around to a little bit of adult education. I know it costs, and it would cost the student. How much does it cost the student to attend?
So for high school, it's free.
Yeah, we got that.
It's free.
I'm talking about adults.
For adults, if you guys look at your adult package here, I knew you guys were going to probably ask me that question, so I want to show this to you guys. So for instance, cosmetology. Tuition for cosmetology is a 1,500-hour program. It's 45 weeks long. It costs $18,000 for cosmetology. If you look at our HVAC program, it costs $8,500. Our LPN to RN, so think about this for a minute. If you're an LPN out there working, practical nurse working in industry, you can come to our school and get your RN diploma program for $18,000. You're a registered nurse when you're done. That's pretty impressive for $18,000. Pennies on the dollars. Practical nursing is at $17,000. Our technician in surgery, I still call it Surg Tech, is right at $16,000. And then we have other programs that are more short term that don't cost as much money. Remember, we're a post-secondary institution, so all of our students qualify for financial aid. Just like
ask
if they
about
were
financial aid. That's the next question.
So we have a financial aid department.
Pell Grant?
Yep, they can get Pell Grants, they can get financial aid, you can get parent loans, plus loans. A lot of people will pay out of pocket. You'll be surprised. We're from Appalachia, so we have a lot of people qualify for Pell Grants. Mm-hmm. So the other thing too is we also set up, because we're always chasing grants, so that means we're always chasing other opportunities. We also have picked up a lot of state subsidy to give out mini grants to adults. So we'll do a lot of mini grants to adults as well. Also, going back to your viewers, if you're a high school dropout and you don't have your high school diploma and you want to do our adult diploma program, it's free. It doesn't cost them a dime. So that's pretty amazing when you think about that. So they can come there, get their adult diploma, and get their credential at no cost. And that's a state line item. Every once in a while they'll run out of money, at least they tell me. Then I go up there and lobby and complain. All of a sudden they'll find some money and help me out a little bit.
I had another little surprise when I toured your facility. You guys have a nursery.
Yes. So
you have child daycare.
So let me tell you a little bit of things that happens in the career tech world, and it happens in Appalachia. And honestly, it's really not an Appalachia problem. I'm finding out it's a statewide problem. The number one barrier for kids, high school kids, to go through career tech and go through a program and then get job placed is transportation. So I lobbied hard, and my colleagues lobbied hard for us to get driver's ed back into our schools. Just like when I was a kid, I took driver's ed for free.
I did too.
And my baseball coach was my driver's ed instructor.
Right.
So we now have driver's ed back at Buckeye Hills. So any kid that attends the main campus can take driver's ed for free. Pretty cool. That's the number one barrier for high school kids. Number one barrier for adults is daycare. So we created our own early learning center. It's called Little Buckeyes. We're at the front end of this phase. I will tell you this. It's probably the most difficult thing to do because right now ours is it's private pay, and then we do have people who can qualify through Jobs and Family Services that can have them pay as well. But what we're finding out is even with the private pay side, it's still difficult for people to utilize that. So that's something that's got my attention. I've been working with Dawn Hall. Dawn Hall is the director of Athens Meigs County's ESC Early Learning Centers. I think she's over like 12 or 13 of them. We hired her on a supplemental contract to help us out with ours. There's a lot of barriers there. So from a policy perspective and from a lobbying perspective, I would like to see every Appalachia kid, regardless of income status, be able to have their first experience in a nice facility that doesn't cost mom and dad an arm and a leg. Now, that's a major problem in our state right now. I honestly think that may be one of our biggest problems that we have.
We talked to several people in this podcast, and one of them was Mike Evans, who was a plant manager for many years. What are the impediments to employment in Southern Ohio? He says transportation and childcare.
Yeah, transportation. He's 100% correct. Something we've seen. We've done a really good job on the high school side with the transportation component. I got 3 driver's ed cars, brand new. We're pretty much running them around the clock. We're actually training staff right now to become driver's ed instructors to get the other new ones on the road. The childcare one for me is very concerning because that hits close to my heart. I grew up. My mom and dad were hard workers, great parents, blue collar. My mom was a factory worker. My dad was a prison guard. We didn't come from a lot of money. When me and my wife both went to the career center, vocational school. We both got jobs right out of the Career Center. We got married early. We had kids early. And I remember we had to make some decisions around what was best for raising our kids. And I remember how tough it was then. And that's been 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine what it's like now, especially with the way inflation is and the way things cost. So I see it on people's face. I see the strain.
And you worry about who your kids are with.
Yeah, and you worry about who your kids are with. So from my perspective as a superintendent, I went to the board, I went to my treasurer and said, hey, I want to do this. And they were like, all right, let's do it. And so that's what we've done. We're still working out the bugs. And when I say there's some things we're working out, we're still working those things out. But I will tell you, it's difficult. It's very difficult. I wish the leaders in Ohio would come out of the 270 circle up there and come down to Appalachia and see where we have real problems at that need addressed. And I think that's where the money should be spent.
But it's possible to address these problems. These are
100% possible.
These are problems that can be solved. And viewers, we're talking about adult education. We're talking about public transportation. We're talking about child care facilities that are affordable for our people. And that's some of the themes that we've developed as we've gone through this podcast system. And I'm grateful to hear that you're experiencing this exactly the same
100%.
Same necessities in your business.
And Bill, we try to keep our costs down to minimal. I mean, right now you can bring your kid to our early learning center, little Buckeyes, for $150 a week. When you look at the state cost for childcare, that's way below the mark.
That still is a lot of money
But what I understand is this. I understand from being from Appalachia, I understand that's still a lot of money. And there's a lot of people that can't pay that. And that's the part that bothers me. So when I think about state leadership, I'm going to say a few things here. I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it. You know, instead of giving our private schools and parochial schools $1 billion, man, it would have been kind of nice maybe to give our K through 12 schools some additional dollars to help out with preschool, to help out with early child care. I mean, seriously, I mean, when you think about that, our kids that are I'm a brand new grandpa. So I've got a 2-year-old granddaughter and a 4-month-old granddaughter that live here in Jackson County. I want to be able to see them be able to go to a child care center that's affordable for my daughter and her husband, that is also going to be a good place for them to go.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have the same access here in living in Appalachia, which I call God's country, just as anybody that lives in Dublin or Albany or Pickerington or Upper Arlington. I should have the same access here.
You know, even the Franklin Countyans have trouble finding reliable, good, affordable child care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this clock on the wall tells me to wrap it up in a few minutes. So
I can talk all day long, so I apologize.
It's terrific to get somebody that is a self-starter.
You're so
like you are.
enthusiastic. I like the enthusiasm.
And Aggie, I'll give you an opportunity. Do you have anything you want to say here at the end, or any questions you want to ask? Anything on your mind?
No, I think we pretty much
I think we've had a pretty
covered that.
broad.
I guess we didn't talk about extracurriculars, maybe.
Yeah, so extracurriculars at the Career Center, we don't have sports teams. We have what's called Career Tech Student Organizations. So a lot of people in the region are familiar with FFA. A lot of them may be familiar with Business Professionals of America. So at the main campus, we have what's called Skills USA. All of our CTSOs. So every program that you guys have looked at today, every program you're going to see that's a career technical education program is required to have a CTSO, which is a career technical student organization attached to them. That gives kids in the career tech world access to leadership opportunities. It gives them access to showcasing their skill set. Something that changed my life when I was a junior in high school from little town of Bainbridge was I had an opportunity to go compete. I had to compete at the local level, the regional level, the district level, and the state level. And I got to compete. I took drafting. AutoCAD was just introduced, and I had to learn both on the board and I had to learn on AutoCAD. And I got to compete in AutoCAD as a junior in high school, and I placed at the state. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time that I was like, wow, I can compete against anybody in Ohio. And I did not realize that until I had that opportunity. So when people ask me all the time, they're like, why do you guys call them the award-winning Buckeye Hills Career Center? The reason for that is because our kids are award-winning. We have kids who compete at local, state, and national levels, and they win. They win. And so when we show up, people know who's in the house. Buckeye Hills is in the house. We got swagger. We're coming in there, and we asked the question. I don't know who's placing second, but we know who's placing first. And so we have that Appalachia culture of being, we're proud of where we're from, and we also want our kids to know be proud of where you're from, and know that you can compete against anybody. Just because you're from Appalachia doesn't mean you can't compete against the best.
Bill was in something called Forensic League when we were in high school, and that was debate and drama and various competitions, and that particular teacher took them to compete all over the state, and they found out that they could compete in those things.
And win.
But they don't have that, I don't think, anymore.
So all of our programs have those CTSO opportunities, a lot of leadership opportunities. We had a young man last year that competed in BPA, and he won nationals as an 8th grader.
What's BPA?
BPA is Business Professionals of America. Won first place in nationals as an 8th grader.
When I went to school, there was a Future Farmers of America.
Yes, FFA.
Kind of that was a leadership opportunity.
We still have FFA. So all of our ag teachers are FFA advisors. We have your big ones are FFA, BPA, and Skills USA. There's some other ones out there too. There's DECA. There's FCCLA. Family Consumer Science was a big one for FCCLA.
Mm-hmm.
So those are out there as well. But those are our extracurricular activities. We do some other things with our kids too. We have the video game team that competes, esports.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Esports, yeah.
So
we have one of those teams.
Are the extracurriculars voluntary too? They either join or not, or if their career.
And if they're in career tech, they have to. We pay for we pay for the chapters. We pay for our kids to be in it. It's up to the kids whether they want to compete or they want to run for office. We just had 9 kids compete for regional officers in Skills USA, and 4 of them just won. I would love to give you guys an opportunity to let me bring my leadership kids in from some of our CTSOs.
Yeah, we can do a follow-up.
And have you guys do an interview with them. You'll be super impressed. I tell people all this all the time. I said, and I tell my kids this, that I'm telling everybody that's listening to this new generation gets beat up a lot, but I'm going to tell you right now, smartest generation hands down of any generation. Super, super smart kids.
Aggie and I weren't too bad. I think we're around to anything else?
No, your guys are good.
That's
I appreciate
great.
it.
It's good.
Thank you, Bill, for
Aggie
your
and I?
time.
Yeah, no.
Thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate you.
Cold
Bill.
hands.